Well, hello, my friend. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. Super happy to be here with you today. In today's episode, I chat with Alex Farkas. He's gallery director and founder of UGallery. It's an online-based gallery who opened in 2006 with a vision to sell art online, which back then was total novelty. Not many people were doing that. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how the art world of online sales has changed in the last 15 years. It's going to be a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Hey, Alex, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Nice to chat with you today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the Artist Next Level podcast. It's always a pleasure to speak to people like you who are in the industry, who understand kind of what's going on, what's happening in the world of art, from the side of the gallery, from the side of where the business happens, right? A lot of times, as artists, we go into our studio, we make, we create, we put it out in the world, but then there's the people like you or me when I'm behind the gallery desk, who have to work on the sales part, right? Getting the art to the people. And for you, as a gallery director and founder of UGallery, having a really important role of figuring out how this whole thing works in a digital world, in a place where, people can go in their phone, look at something they love and click on that button and then magically shows up in your door, right? A few days later. And to be able to do that in the art world, with all these dynamics of, how art looks, how art, translates from the physical to the digital, and being able to do this for now over 16 years, I think you have quite a bit of insight to share with us. So I'm very happy that you join us. But before we talk a little bit about more on that sense, I would love to kind of hear a little bit about you. How did you get involved in art?
Oh, great question. Originally, as a kid, I grew up in my mom's gallery. She was a potter, and then she sold other artists' work. Same story as a lot of people in the art world. It's just part of your family experience. And then I went to school at the University of Arizona. I studied art history. And while I was in the art history program, I discovered this great program in the business school for entrepreneurship. They basically coach you over the course of a year on how to come up with a concept, write a business plan, and then eventually how to pitch it. So when I was in this program in the entrepreneurship school, I started talking with my classmates about the artists I knew in the art school and how they were making really fantastic work. But at the same time, it was a big deal to make the leap from being a student artist to a professional artist. Mm-hmm. So we came up with a concept where we could promote emerging artists' work on a website. And this was back in 2006. So it was quite novel at the time. The school really liked our idea. They helped us along. And in the course of the year, they sent us to some business plan competitions. We went to a premier one here in the United States and an international competition in Canada. And amazingly, the judges loved our idea and we won both competitions. The great thing was there were cash prizes. So when we got to the end of our senior year in school, my business partner and I got together and decided we'd pool our competition winnings and pretty much every cent in our bank accounts. And so we decided we'd launch UGallery and make this idea of a business plan a dream. And that was it. We moved to a small house in Phoenix and put our desks in the front room and went to work. We launched UGallery in 2006.
That's exciting. That's exciting to hear. Now, it's pretty cool that, you had that interest in entrepreneurial life and how entrepreneurial things work. Because a lot of times, when you go to art school, you have like the art on one side of the building, and then usually the business is like in the way opposite side. They don't merge too much. Now things are changing a little bit. I really believe that, entrepreneurial practices should be part of the art curriculum because, you are an artist running your own business nowadays. But I think, it is really exciting to hear, that enthusiasm that you had, your love for art, and thinking about how these two what seem to be opposites can meet up. And particularly, as you mentioned, right, 2006, when the world was quite different, the online web things were just about kind of taking off. I remember, I purchased my first domain because I've always loved like technology too. So I purchased my first domain back in the day when I didn't know what to do with it. It was called virtualartist.com. I still have it. And I learned myself how to do HTML by just looking at books and at other people. But it is exciting to hear how you had that passion and then the skill and to bring them both together. So tell me what were some of the biggest obstacles back then, in uh, having an online based art gallery business, because you were not selling JPEGs, you were selling original art. So tell me one of those hurdles at the beginning, and maybe what are some of the logistics that you had to overcome.
Absolutely. Well, I'd say the biggest question that people asked us in the very beginning is people asked us, are anyone going to really buy art on the internet without seeing it first? We got asked that a lot in the early days. And I laugh about that now. But as you mentioned, it was kind of the early days of e-commerce. People weren't buying cars and food and things on the internet yet. And art still seemed like a big leap. And so I really believe that our early days were figuring out how do we help artists take good photographs of their work. Even camera phones weren't really a thing yet. So artists were still using DSLR cameras and going to professional studios to get pictures taken. I'd say that was one of the biggest first hurdles, helping coach people along to take good pictures. And actually, as iPhones came about, that totally changed our business too, because people had the ability to take really good pictures without having to spend a lot of money. And the shipping logistics were also a big deal for us in the early days. We started out by having this amazing partnership that we worked out with UPS stores, where we got put into their systems and artists could go into any UPS store in the country and ship on our account. But the packaging was very hit or miss. Sometimes art would get thrown in a box with a bunch of packing peanuts. It was kind of a messy ordeal for customers. And after a few years, we finally went to a custom box manufacturer, and we figured out how to make these really beautiful custom built art boxes where there are 3 layers of high density foam and the middle layer tears out with perforations. So the art fits perfectly in the box. That was a huge deal for us. We get comments all the time. Customers say, I love my painting, but I might love the box just as much. It's the most pleasant way I've ever received a piece of art in the mail. Yeah, so I think those were some of our big early day hurdles, figuring out how to get good pictures on the website, and certainly how to ship art, making sure it arrived in good shape, but also people are buying fine art, so they want to have a nice experience when they open up the box, making sure that art comes ready to hang. So if it's a work on canvas or panel, that when they take it out of the box, they can put it right on the wall and enjoy it.
Right. No, that's pretty interesting and so true. Kind of going over those hurdles of first starting with a good image, right? Having that great image, and then the shipping and all that. Now, in terms of like working with the artists back then, kind of still talking about the early days, was it hard to convince artists like, this was possible? Like, as you said, I think sometimes as artists, we are the first one who create this mindset block. So nobody's going to buy art online, or nobody's going to do this, nobody's going to do that. And then things change, right? And but back there, did you find that artists had like that kind of mindset, like, who's going to buy art online without seeing the artwork, right? Because we artists, we love the materiality of the object. We love to see it and lick it, touch it. But, did you find that to be an obstacle at the beginning?
Absolutely. I've always seen that our business was serving 2 customers, both our clients who we're selling art to and our artists. And it was a little bit of the chicken and the egg to begin with. In fact, the early days, the first really 2 years, I spent a lot of my time just hitting the road. I visited art schools and artist co-ops and groups, and I talked to people. I even think it's funny now, but in the early days, we would offer artists $100 just to sign up and put 5 pieces of art on our website.
Really?
So yeah, we did anything we could really to attract the talent that we wanted. And from day one, we've been a curated gallery. So we always chose the artists that we work with. We picked the specific pieces we put on the site, and that's something we've stuck with all along. So in addition to getting artists to sign up, we were looking for a specific style of art too. And that certainly compounded it. But I think people were won over by the fact that we knew a lot about the space. We were trying to do something unique. Artists are pioneering art and different ideas all the time. So I think a lot of people were on board to see what could be done with this new space. And I've been so amazed over the years how supportive artists have been to our mission. And on the other side, we had clients almost right away. It was really amazing. We put our website up, and 2 days later, we made our first sale, and we never really looked back from that. And we got great press in the early days. So I think that also drove a lot of the artist community come check us out. And ever since, we've been very open. I'd say we really differentiate ourselves as a gallery on the internet by being very communicative with artists. So any artist we work with, we have welcome phone calls. Throughout our relationship, we talk with them about how we can enhance their portfolio, the type of marketing activities we do with them. And so I think most of the people who work with us see us as an equal partner. And that's still unique, I think, online. There are a lot of big marketplaces where artists don't really get to talk to anyone. They don't get a lot of support. So that certainly has helped us. And that reputation too, we have artists now who tell their friends, hey, why don't you check out UGallery? Even clients tell their artist friends, why don't you check us out? Because I had a great experience working with them, and maybe they could do something for your career too.
No, that is great because, that kind of hand touch of being able to talk to a human being, so important, where we have come to now a world that is everything's automated, right? Like, you just go online and all the instructions there and you upload it and click the button and that's it, right? And you cannot talk to anybody because everything is automated. If you make a phone call, it's like, you're listening to a machine that answers it. So, I think that is refreshing to hear, after so many years, still keeping that personalization within how you deal with the artist. And I guess one of the questions that also I think for a lot of artists who are listening to, how do you go about, UGallery goes about finding artists to bring into your clientele?
Yeah, good question. We search out artists. So still, even in a physical realm, I like to go to shows, and when I see people who I think might be a good fit, I'll talk with them. We look for artists online. Oftentimes it's nice to search out for people who are already on the web in some way because they have some sort of digital savvy. They're used to taking their pictures. And I do portfolio reviews. I work with a local organization here called the San Francisco Artist Network, and they help coach artists with professional development. So I meet artists that way. And really, as I mentioned before, artist referrals have been one of our greatest sources because people want to be exhibited with like-minded people, people who they feel fit a certain aesthetic. So oftentimes it's studio mates or people that they show in galleries with, and they'll pass our name along. So it's kind of all those things. And over the years, we've kept a lot of the artists that we work with. I still work with some of the same people from 2006 and 7. So that speaks to the longevity of the relationships we have. And for us, it's not an issue of quantity so much as fitting the aesthetic of the gallery, finding things that really speak to us, and also finding artists who are really involved in the process too, because it's a two-way street. We ask artists to be involved with giving us new work from time to time, giving us good information about what they're doing. The more we have, the better we can sell the work. And as you know, from running a gallery, you have to tell a good story in order to sell artwork. People want to make that emotional connection.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about also, as we talk about making that connection, how do you connect with your clientele? How do you find new clients? And, as an online gallery, which exists in the digital, world, how do you differentiate yourself now? Because there are so many options today, right? You got so many like Saatchi art, and then I think there's over 250 places to sell your art online today.
Wow.
Last time I looked. So how you UGallery differentiate yourself from the others?
Yeah, I think for one, we really have a great idea of who we're talking to as our client. We're not trying to serve everyone. We have a very specific person we talk to. In fact, we even have her named. Her name is Mary. We have a whole profile about her. And whenever we talk to our clients through email or phone calls or anything like that, we always envision that we're speaking to this particular person. So it's very much so a one-to-one conversation. And I think that goes a long way for the people who come to UGallery. A lot of them, they're already interested in art. Maybe they consider themselves collectors or not, but we're not converting new people to buying original art so much as helping people who have an interest. Maybe they like going to galleries. Maybe they like going to galleries but don't have the time. And so UGallery gives them this awesome opportunity to browse when they've got a few minutes. We have clients who tell us, I have such a busy work week, and I know when I see the UGallery new art email that gets sent every week, I'm going to tell myself to wait, but I can never wait. I have to click on it even at work just to see a few new pieces. And so I think a lot of it is really defining who our client is and then searching them out that way. Of course, we use a lot of the things you'd expect. Search engine optimization is big for us. So we make sure that our pages appear at the top of Google searches. We do paid advertising online. Those things, they work. And we try to be very data-driven about the decisions we make with our marketing. We've tried a lot of different things in the past, everything from art fairs to magazine ads, that kind of thing. But we really find that we want to do the type of marketing that can be easily measured so we can see, is it working for us? And if so, can we do more of it? If you can't track it, it's really hard to know if you're actually meeting the people. And so that's a big part of it. And then, as I mentioned, we do a lot of PR. We've done that since the very beginning. And that's been great because people really trust the podcasts they listen to, the news articles that they read, that sort of thing. So as much as we can get some publicity in that way, that's been great for our business too. And then word of mouth is the final thing. Clients tell their friends because they have a good experience with us. So we get to know people in clusters that way.
And that's great. And do you specifically focus on original art, or you also sell like prints or reproductions?
We do all original art, and our focus is on paintings. So we show a few sculpture artists, but really the focus of UGallery is one-of-a-kind paintings.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about, how the art world of online, sales has changed, since you started, right? 2006 to now, some 16, some or so years later, as the world has changed, the web has changed. And particularly, I'm really interested to hear, how it changed after the pandemic. At least for us, we are a physical gallery with an online presence. When the pandemic came, I think happened to all galleries. All of a sudden, we all became online galleries for 2 years only because a lot of our shows were canceled. Everything was canceled. And we saw a quick rise on online sales because of it. Collectors were still buying, except they were just not going to a gallery. They were going to a website. And I saw that galleries who were prepared for online sales did really well versus those who were scrambling and not what to do, struggled the most. Many of course, closed. But for you, as a gallery who already understands the web, already understands how people buy online, how things have changed, and particularly as we got to this pandemic world, how did that also, the way people buy art online has changed?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, people were still buying art during the pandemic. We were very well positioned for that. We'd been doing it a long time, and that was lucky. I am very much so a believer in physical galleries as well. It's what I grew up with, and it's really, a special experience to go see art in person. You can't replace that. For us, as we found over the years, our clients are really people who maybe just don't have access to galleries if they're living in far off places. I have one client in Iowa who's bought dozens of paintings from us over the years. And he says, there are galleries by where I live, but mostly all they show are hunting scenes. And he said, I'm not interested in that. So it's really nice to be able to have access to artists from around the country in this way. The whole online art space has evolved so much since we started. Really, I think there was a first wave of kind of online type galleries, but when we came about, there wasn't much really happening in the space. We were one of the first. And what I've seen is that as people became more comfortable with shopping for everything else online, they became more comfortable with art. But that also dictated kind of how we did things. So getting faster with our shipping, offering better shipping. In the early days, we would charge for shipping in our shopping cart. And so it's expensive to ship art, as you know. It might be 15% of the cost. And people would get a huge sticker shock when they would get to the cart. They'd have $1,000 painting and realize they were going to pay another maybe $150 to ship that piece. So starting to take on some of the traits of the bigger companies like Amazon, offering free shipping to people. And really, I also saw as people became more sophisticated, it really became a lot about the storytelling process. We developed over time a really great curatorial writing team. We write a description for every piece of art we show on the site. And the whole point is to tell a good story We write our artist bios for them and help them hone their artist statements. All that goes such a long way. Having good studio pictures, helping artists take pictures of themselves, and really giving this great web experience. So even if you're not in a gallery talking to someone about it, you can have kind of the same feeling where as you're browsing UGallery, we give you the information that you'd want to hear from a gallery assistant. And so I think that's what's really changed is the level of information that's provided and the sophistication of the websites too. I even think back to our first website and how basic it was. And as the years have gone on, we've added features so people can sort through the art more quickly. They can look for specific things that they want. We offer simple in-room shots so people can see scale of art. All that stuff is done automatically now. And I think a lot of the stuff we were doing in the early days, we were offering people mock-ups if they sent us a picture of their room, and we were manually sizing those pictures and things like that. So a lot of the tech has really caught up. A lot of the parts of our website that we were building to be very custom in the early days, now, for the most part, all that stuff is available kind of pre-built, and you can just add it onto your website. So it's really kind of interesting to see how quick that technology has changed.
No, absolutely. And do you think like after the pandemic, now, because like you said, everybody that started buying everything online, now people have kind of an easier time just clicking that button and say, I love the artwork. I understand how a painting, is made, click. I love the story, click by, it's less of a kind of like hurdle that stops you like, should I or shouldn't I? But because you already have done it so many times, buying many other things, that it just becomes a lot easier.
I think so. Yeah, art was definitely a final frontier if people would be willing to take that leap. And what I see is that people have become so comfortable buying everything that they're willing to give it a try. And much of what you're doing is buying the gallery as much as the piece. So customers are seeing, okay, well, what is their shipping policy? What's their return policy? And so forth. And for us, we've modified those things over the years. Like I said, we offer free shipping and free returns so people can try art for a week in their home and see if they like it. That really gives people a lot of confidence. And the fact that we spend so much time taking good pictures of the art, when artists submit a piece, we ask that they show a main image as well as a side shot, a picture of the art in context of a space, and a close-up. So if people can get an idea of what the art is like from those pictures, I often find that they have this amazing kind of honeymoon effect where the thing comes and they love it so much more in person. Our return rate is very low. We take returns on less than 2% of the art we sell. And for e-commerce of any kind, that's unheard of. So I think there's something to be said about people making emotional connections with the art still. And it's our duty to do a good job getting the art ready so that when it comes, it's the same color as they think it's going to be and all of that. But beyond that, there is a certain comfort now to just click and have it show up. And so, from our end, we have to do a good job to make sure things arrive quickly so people don't wait too long and kind of give them some of the things they'd expect from shopping other major websites. But that's kind of that's the fun of the business, right? Giving people a little bit easier access to art.
Right. I always say like when you ship a work of art, there's two types of wows from the person who opens it on the other side, whether it be the buyer or the curator is like, wow, this is awesome. Or like, wow, this is not what I expected.
Right.
And I think, if you work really hard on the, wow, this is amazing, the likelihood that the person will buy again, is very high because they already trust you. As you mentioned, the importance of the package, understand like, wow, they know how to package a work of art. If it's packed well, it means the artwork is important. If it's poorly packed, that means, it's not really respectable,
Spoken like a true gallery owner. I think you see things over the years, and that's part of the job of any good gallerist is educating your artists about how to make sure they know what they're selling is really a luxury good. Because people buying art, they want to have that experience. Right. They want to think they're buying something that's special and well cared for. And a lot of that just goes into the presentation, starting from the beginning. Did they use good materials, good paints, thick enough stretcher, for example, on a canvas? Is it wired? Is it wired well? Is it going to stay on the wall? That kind of stuff. All that goes into creating this experience. So yeah, the wow is, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I'm so happy to receive this. And so we've just worked on that over the years. And as much as possible, we try and educate our artists on how to do a great job to send things. A lot of them already know this, but for people who are getting started out, it's just something we do.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's amazing. That's great. I love that. And as we gotten now to the present of how people are buying and so on, and how you're presenting art, let's talk a little bit about the future. Where are we going? Where do you see UGallery, as the future of now Web3 and all those things everybody's talking about? How do you think things will change and evolve for galleries like you?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at UGallery is a 100-year company. So in some ways, it's a teenager now, and we've worked through some of the growing stages, getting our sea legs and figuring out how we do business. And I see as we move into the future how the landscape is going to change. Right now, you mentioned there's a lot of galleries online or a lot of platforms selling art. A lot of them are big marketplaces that just let anyone post anything. And I really see that the online market will shape up more to being what the physical gallery world is, where you have galleries that focus on sets of artists. They're curated. They speak to certain people. They have an aesthetic. I think that's really important. To me, the internet is really very mom and pop still. And I feel like that will continue to evolve in so many ways. And for the art world, it will give more legitimacy to the online space. Instead of being kind of the Wild West, galleries will be using these tools and kind of interchangeably. I think physical spaces will have more tools to have a great web presence. As I was saying, now you can build a really strong website for yourself without spending a ton of money or a ton of time. And that should change how things go, because these physical galleries will be able to do a nice job representing their artists on an online portfolio. And so for me, I see that it will shape up to being a little bit more curated, a little bit more thought out, and speak to individual clients in a way that from up till now, it's still been, big mass marketplaces trying to speak to everyone. And that's not really what art is about. Art is about making an emotional connection. So people don't want to see 100,000 paintings when they're searching for art. They want to see a grouping that someone cared about and could say something, articulate what they were feeling when they were looking at the art.
Yeah, I mean, they say that too many options then brings paralysis, right, of the brain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to pick. And something I love about your website, as I browse through it as well before the chat here, is it's easy to use, easy to find artists. You have really nice categories where people can click really see depending on what they're looking for. And when you're in front of a work of art on your website, you're not presented with all these like 20 banners on the side and on the tab, everything is trying to pull your attention, but you can actually concentrate on the artwork that you're looking at, without having all these other things, which a lot of times you find in the big marketplaces, because they have within their own advertisement and things like that, and every piece like can lead you to another one that you can possibly like as well. But I like that your site, you can feel that it's curated, that is carefully selected. As you click on an image, you have all the different options at the bottom to go through and see the artist in the studio, to the close-ups, and things kind of like what you expect today from a serious online gallery, but it's still within a place that it is clean. That experience it's clean, and that you focus on the art.
Thanks for saying that. We try to really, put a good perspective on design and what our clients are looking for, speaking to them. And it's always changing, but I do think it's important. Give the art its due. Try and, as much as you go into a gallery and don't see a bunch of advertisements hanging next to artwork, we try and do the same thing on our website, where get people focused. And it really helps, because this when selling art in person, you talk about the specific piece that's in front of them. You're not trying to sell them 10 other things. It's really about conveying the story, what makes the one thing special. And that's how we look at this. Even on the internet, where you've got more options, these pieces that we show, all of them are special to us. We say every art we show on UGallery is of heirloom quality. So that's really important to us, to help people see what's unique about each artwork and help them feel good about their decision to buy that piece.
That's great. That's great. No, thank you so much for everything you have shared with us. I think, the way I see it, I think, the possibilities in the future are just endless. And as more technology comes around, more opportunities to do more, to figure out how our different businesses, whether it's physical or online or a hybrid of both, can can bring more art to more people. And at the end of the day, I say this about artists, and I say this also about galleries. When one of us wins, we all win, because that means more art is going out into the world. When another gallery is successful, great. More people have access to art. When another artist sells more work, it's great. That means that they can make more, and more people can have it and enjoy it and tell their friends about it and so on. So it's like it's something that I think as an art community in all aspects of the business, from those who are in the forefront, the artist making, for those of us who also like you behind the scenes making the art visible to people, and even those people who work in the back, packing the art and that are invisible but are there. It's such an important in this ecosystem, to continue pushing forward the boundaries and see what the next piece of technology is going to take us to, right? I mean, we experienced the web 1, web 2, now web 3, and NFTs, everything that is coming along the way, things that we don't even know right now, but 5-10 years from now will be around. As you guys, you said, you're a teenager now, but it will evolve, right? And it will mature and grow. And I think that's the same for all technology. So I'm very optimistic of what I see coming and what I see will happen. It's very refreshing for me to hear your story from UGallery, being able to stay in business this long and be thriving and continue to bring great artwork for people who love it. I think that's an amazing story, and I'm so thankful that you decided to come and share your story with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I love your sentiment, the positivity about it. I totally agree. We're all in this together. Mm-hmm. I think that the art world is such a small place, and artists all really want the same thing for each other, which is success and help have more visibility for the arts. And that's why we do it. Anyone who's involved on the gallery side, I think, is in the same boat. We do this for the love of it. It's really nice to see that connection that people have. Even now, 16 plus years later, I'm always so happy when I hear about a client who gets a piece and they say, wow, I'm just absolutely in love with this art. Mm-hmm. It means so much to me. That feeling never goes away. And so being able to help people have more of that, and also help artists do what they love, make art, make a piece, sell a piece, make 2 more. That's such a special thing. So thank you for your podcast and kind of illuminating all these great aspects of how artists can be professional. It's really a fantastic thing.
Absolutely. And, since we have a lot of artists who listen to the podcast as well, what would be one piece of advice, for artists who are looking to find, galleries just like yours, to get their work out there? What was one piece of advice that you have for them?
I always say start with a goal in mind for what your web presence is. You definitely want to figure out what you're doing in terms of your personal website, any online galleries you're working with, and also your social media, so that everything kind of ladders up to tell one good story about you. You can use different info on those platforms, but figure out how they talk together. And then when you're actually looking for an individual online gallery, shop the gallery, see how they act, see if they respond to you, if your work fits the space. It's really the same as hitting the pavement and looking for physical galleries. You want to find one that speaks to you as an artist, where you'll be an individual and stand out. Kind of what we were talking about earlier, finding curated spaces where you have an opportunity to shine and that they'll help you grow professionally. That's what we tell artists. And, not every space is for every artist. So it's important to kind of sort that out. But having a goal in mind, what you're trying to accomplish, goes a long way. Otherwise, you kind of get headlong into a very broad space. So
right. Yeah, exactly. And thank you for that. And I think that's great advice. And I'll ask you also. I always ask artists when they're interested in a gallery, to find out if there's a process in which that gallery already has, in which they review artists. So do you guys have a process in which you prefer to review artists? So that
absolutely,
you don't get inundated like in social media, like here's my 10 pictures,
Right. Yeah, we take applications on our website, ugallery.com/apply. We have a pretty simple application. It takes about 10 minutes. We ask for some personal information, artist statement, that sort of thing, and then a portfolio of 10 images. And that way we can review people's work. We review art applications every week. And when we find things that speak to us, we reach out to the artists and talk with them more about showing their work.
Super. Excellent. It's great when there's already a process, right? And you don't have to answer to messages everywhere. Like just go to that website and you'll find everything you need right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And is there something that you would like to share with us? Anything that's coming up that you're super excited about when it comes to UGallery before we wrap up for today?
Nothing specific to share. I just invite people to come visit our site, ugallery.com, And we have a really fantastic email newsletter we send out 3 times a week, which features new art every week, plus in-depth artist profiles. And it's written by me, so often quirky little anecdotes about what's happening in my life. If you're interested, I invite you to sign up for that as well.
Well, that's right. I think that's also that personal touch. I think that's what makes it also a differentiator, between some of the bigger marketplaces.
Yeah, absolutely. Personal touch is everything. I think for selling art and buying art, you want to talk to an individual and have that real emotional connection. That's what the art is all about.
Right. Excellent. Well, we wish you amazing success, Alex. How can our friends, who are artists, can find you on social media, website, and also for our friends who are listening, who are also maybe interested in purchasing art, are looking for a new place where they can also discover new artists that they might want to add to their fine art collections. If you can give us your website, social media, where can we find you?
Absolutely. Our website is UGallery.com. You can find us on Instagram. Our handle is UGallery. And if you have questions that you'd like answers to, you can always reach out to info@ugallery.com and we'll get back to you.
Super. And I will add is U, the letter U, not Y-O-U, but like the letter U and then the word gallery all together. Super easy to remember, ugallery.com. You'll find them right away as well. So, Alex, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Wishing you great success on the years to come. And as you lead this gallery, as you have done so far in the last 16 years, wish you many, many more, and that you continue, also finding great artists to work with and, finding great collectors, to match these artists that you're working with.
Thank you so much. You as well. I hope we get to speak again.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friends. And everyone, please do us a big favor. Alex and I will be ecstatic. If you do us a favor and you click on that little share button and you share this podcast episode with all your friends, it takes only 1 second to do, and send it out to a friend. I think it would be really awesome, and we will really, really appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you, my friend, at the next level. Goodbye.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.